South Americans in general
Yes,
in Florida,
it's
like
just
Colombians, Ecuadorians, yeah.
and it's great. They've given us a lot of support, but it does mean that it can shape our outlook. That they might really fixate on this particular issue that is less compelling to the rest of the country, and it can just be what they marinate in. The same way that people in D.C. you get a lot of our warhawk people because they just marinate in a pro-intervention, kind of pro-military industrial complex environment that makes them more inclined towards thinking, oh yeah, we can solve our problems in the Middle East by dropping these bombs, by overthrowing this government. And I think you have a good point that, yeah, Trump really despises the drug dealers. He sees this Venezuelan government as linked to that, and if he can remove it, he can mitigate the problem. But I will remind everyone that nothing causes more drug smuggling to happen than pure anarchy.
Yeah.
We overthrew the Taliban, which basically blew up all of the opium and heroin coming out of Afghanistan. We took out Gaddafi, and then Libya became this endless supply of migrants sailing into Europe. It remains to this day. So if you pulverize the Venezuelan government, do you just end up where there's anarchy in Venezuela, so even more drugs are coming out of there? Maybe you cause even more Venezuelans to flee the country, and then they end up in all these different places?
Points well made. We're going to welcome back National Radio in just 1 second. Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. So my idea for the final segment is, and I want to keep building this out probably tomorrow with you, Alex and Blake. There is something happening to the American psyche where we are seeing a bifurcation of what reality looks like for either side. And I think it just depends on what algorithm you find yourself on. And we saw this with what happened with Charlie, right? It's like there is a certain percentage of the population that is really convinced of the most awful doomerism imaginable from the American left. They see it, on MSNBC, CNN, then it goes into Reddit, and then it goes into these Discord chats, and they literally think that they are fighting Nazis. And there was a video that went viral over the weekend about an American liberal who's fleeing to Canada. And this thing goes on for like 5 minutes. This clip is just incredible. It just shows it's this window into the psyche of the left that they really think that Trump is Hitler. They really think that they're fighting fascism. Play cut 54.
We are just literally minutes away from the border to Canada as we flee the U.S. Who would have thought at age 60 that this would be our day and our plan and our actions? We just feel so scrutinized and so silenced and so being portrayed as enemies within and being portrayed as domestic terrorists. He hit the ground running in January, the day he was inaugurated.
So what's striking to me about this clip, right, is you remember that famous Joe Biden speech, Alex, where the red in the background, he's talking about MAGA extremists and the number one threat to America is these white supremacists. So we were villainized and otherized and told that we were the existential threat to our country. But yet this guy thinks that it's our side that's doing it to him.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's MSNBC brain or TikTok brain, whatever it is. And it's very scary. I had this conversation after Trump won with a friend of mine in the neighborhood who's Indian American and works in the arts. And he was really concerned after Trump won that he wasn't going to be able to go downtown because he might get rounded up by ICE. And that was his thought. The guy pays a ton in taxes, has a clean criminal record, and is Indian. And there's no evidence of Trump rounding up any American citizens who are law-abiding. I mean, he's not doing that at all. He's going after the bad guys who are criminals. And then I thought about that a lot after Charlie was shot, about how that guy was telling me I'm the problem, the guys I support are the problem, we're the ones who are taking out the innocents. And then you watch Charlie get gunned down for what he believed, what he stood for. And so I have no tolerance for these people. I hope he enjoys Canada. I don't need him here. He can stay if he wants, but I don't care. I don't think about these people a lot until you hear the TikTok clips. But in a post-Charlie Kirk assassination world, we need a lot less tolerance for this type of language and the disparaging of our country when it's the left that has this violent streak and they're the ones who are taking out our field generals.
I totally agree with that, by the way. I mean, in a post-Charlie world, and by the way, every poll indicates that the left is the side that is embracing violence. Our side, actually, I'm so proud of this, and I give Charlie so much credit for this, that the youngest conservatives, self-described conservatives, are basically the most peaceful group.
Yes.
They're the least likely to justify political violence to achieve a political end. And that is a lot of credit to Charlie, who advocated and modeled open debate and dialogue and free speech. And so our side is saying, hey, we want to win the old-fashioned way. We want to win in the marketplace of ideas. And it's the left that's actually continuing to otherize
it's
in this
blackmail.
fascist, Nazis,
blackmail.
bigots. Totally. It's totally blackmail. And by the way, it gets to the end of the clip and he goes, well, I'm just going to be here for 2 or 3 weeks and we'll fight. So he's like, no courage of his convictions. Yeah. It's called a vacation. You're not playing anything, you TikTok clip. I'll just leave it at that. I was going to say something nasty. Blake, what's your take on this?
Man, it's just people, they really want to they almost want to live in more interesting times than they do, which is surprising because we live in pretty interesting times as is. And frankly, it's weird to say, pretty entertaining. Like whatever else you want to say, Donald Trump is incredibly funny. A lot of our politics is very wacky and entertaining, but they want to be hyper persecuted individuals.
I have a whole theory that basically the entire left wants to act like they're marching in Selma. You know, they have one model in their head for how this works, and that's it.
And those women who dress up in those handmaid outfits, they're like, oh.
It's a fetish. It's a total fetish. This is how they amuse themselves. Is they pretend like things are way worse than they are.
They're cosplaying as civil rights warriors.
Look at Mamdani, coming in and just saying oh yeah, after 9/11, we were just this incredibly persecuted group.
I know. It's all made up. It was Charlie used to say it's whose line is it anywhere, where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. And that's what we're dealing with.
It must be so annoying in person. They must have totally unfulfilling lives.
I think that's probably true. Alex Marlowe, Breitbart News. He's going to be back with us tomorrow, so check it out tomorrow. We'll talk with you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Nice show.